Okay, so I am recording. I'll go ahead and share my screen and then we'll do some quick introductions and then we'll get started. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Destiny. I'm the coordinator for Changemaker Central. I'm who you've been in contact with for the past couple of months as you all have been submitting your applications and then doing, presentations a couple of weeks ago. I think I've met a lot of you who are on this call. However, my last day with Changemaker will be on Thursday. So this is my last week of work. And I will be transitioning the community action grants over to Hannah Steyerwalt. She's on this call. Hannah, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you all hear me okay? Perfect. Sorry my camera's not on, y'all. I'm currently driving. But I'm very excited to continue this process with you as Destiny transitions out. Like she said, my name is Hannah. I work at the ASU Polytechnic campus as Changemaker Central Poly's advisor and a liaison to all the student organizations out there. So if you have any questions that you would usually direct towards Destiny, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm not based in Tempe, but I'm happy to make accommodations if we ever need meetings or anything like that, but excited to work with you all.
Thanks, Hannah. Great. And then you've also been receiving some communication from Jared Elters. He's also on this call. Jared, can you take a few seconds and introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Jared. I'm a management intern with Changemaker, and I work here on the Tempe campus. So those of you that were here on campus and presented in person or even on Zoom, you might have seen me a lot during that process. So I'll continue to be here through the process of the financial orientation and even the disbursement of the fund. So you can feel free to reach out to me as well.
Yeah, sounds good. And then we also have on this call a member of Changemaker's business team, and the business team really manages the financial component of the community action grant. My job is really just to kind of help facilitate that, but the financial or the business team kind of is more in charge of that than I am. And so, Carlos, do you mind just introducing yourself to everyone really quick?
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Espinosa. I'm based here in Tempe, and I'm a business operation. So basically, I'm in charge of processing like all your purchases, all the financial stuff.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Carlos. So as we're going through the presentation, I encourage you all to think about your own projects because there's several different ways you can use your funds or several different ways really to access your funds. And so I want you to think about your projects and what you are interested in spending money on for your projects and how logistically you might do that with the different options presented to you today. And then at the end, we should have time for questions. So if you have questions about your specific project and things that you want to purchase, we can discuss that. And with Carlos being on the call, he'll be, a good asset to help answer any questions. I know some things about the financial part of this, but I'm definitely not the expert. So I like to defer to Carlos. Okay, cool. We'll get started. I'm glad you all are here. So we'll first talk about how to request your funds. You have to kind of put in a formal request for your funds. We'll talk about the funding options that are available to you. And then finally, some important dates to keep in mind. There are deadlines for when to have your funding in by and all your paperwork completed by. So how to request your funds. First, you will have to fill out some paperwork. We have a grant disbursement form, or GDF, as I will refer to it from here on out. And you'll have to fill out the GDF. It's pretty basic, straightforward information that it's asking you about. And then you'll have to attach to the GDF some backup documents, which we'll get into detail about that. And you also have to attach your budget. So if your project, won $1,500, you need to submit a full budget of an itemized breakdown of every item that you are looking to purchase. So we'll get into backup documents and budget later on. But first, we're going to talk about the grant disbursement form. It's linked here. I'll click on it in a second and we'll go over it so you can see it for yourself and we can talk about some of the information it asks. Again, make sure to attach your backup documents to the GDF. When you're filling out the GDF, you should use your ASU email address. Don't use like a personal Gmail or anything like that. ASU email is very important for communication. And I'll show you where this is, but there's a page in the GDF that you will need to sign regardless if you're using the purchasing card or not. So everybody will have to sign on that page. And then you will not be able to sign the document at the end until you attach your backup document. So I just want to make sure to reiterate throughout the presentation how important your backup documents are for the GDF. I'll go ahead and kind of click on the GDF and take us through it.
Are we gonna get this emailed to us afterwards?
Yeah, that's a good question. I will do a follow-up email after this with a PDF presentation of this PDF version of this presentation, as well as the recording. So you will be able to refer back to this in the future. That's a good question. Hold on one second. I think I got a couple things in chat. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Frank. So the grant program that you fill out here is what track you were awarded. So if you applied to a sustainability challenge, for example, you fill on a sustainability challenge, or if you won for Changemaker challenge or a service grant. So you fill out which of our 3 grants that you won. And then your project or teammate name here. And then whoever is in charge of your, sorry, please ignore the like autofill stuff. It's kind of annoying. Whoever will be in charge of the finance side of your community action grant, whether that's your team lead or somebody else, whoever's in charge of the finances, they fill out their information here. So name, phone, and email. Again, ASU email. Fill out your mailing address. Your mailing address is really important, so make sure it's accurate. You may, for example, be getting reimbursed for your funds. And if you're getting reimbursed, you'll likely get a check in the mail. And again, we'll go over those options later, but it's important that your mailing address is accurate. Then you'll also want to put in here a description of the items that you're purchasing. So maybe you're, purchasing, contracting for a website or for app development, maybe art supplies or, mural supplies. Just kind of describe the things that you're purchasing. Also, the academic year and semester you were awarded funds. So for you all, that should be fall of 2023. That will be the same for all of you. And then Amazon orders will be one of the ways in which you can use your funds. And so if you're going the Amazon route, you need to link your cart here. We'll go into that more, but I just want to let you know that this is where you put that. Your project location, is your project inside the United States, which is domestic, or is your project international? This is important for us because if it's international, the business team will have to do exchange rates. So they need to know where your project is. And then also if you're an ASU employee, even if you're a student employee, we need to know that as well, because if you're getting reimbursed, it might actually go to your paycheck instead of in the mail to you. So just, take it one by one. You'll be good. And then you'll want to put the total of your actual purchases here. So if you were awarded $1,500, but you're purchasing like $1,200 of stuff right now, put $1,200 here. And then you may have to, do the GDF again with the other $300 that you have left to spend. So here is where you attach your backup documents. Again, we'll go over this in a little bit, but here's all the attachments and you have to check mark them off that you did it. So it's a little checklist as well as a place to attach them. And then you'll sign here. And if you have an ASU employee ID number, put that here. If you are not an ASU employee, then you don't have to worry about that. And then that's pretty much it for the first page. The second page is, this is the page I was talking about earlier that you need to sign, even if you're not using the purchasing card. So Changemaker has what's called a purchasing card. It's essentially a debit card. And you have an option to check that out and use that as a one way to use your funds. So regardless of if you're using it, if you're actually using the purchasing card or not, everybody has to sign here because the little red star is a requirement for everybody. So yeah. And then down here, we have a pretty comprehensive list of the things that the P card, Changemaker's debit card, cannot purchase. So we just want to make sure that you all read through that and understand that if you decide to use our purchasing card, and you will have to sign off on that as well to basically say that you understand what things cannot be purchased with that card. So a lot of it's just signing. And then once you have, all of the red stars are filled in, and once you have the 3 documents uploaded or attached really to the GDF, then you'll be able to do one final signature for the entire document. And then what happens is that document will then get sent to Jared and Hannah, and they will have to approve your document. So it'll go to them and they'll read through everything that you filled out. They'll read through your backup documents, your budget, your award letter, and they will approve or deny the GDF based on if you filled it out correctly and provided all the right information. This is why we're doing orientation, because it's a kind of a lot that goes into it. ASU is a large university, pretty bureaucratic. A lot of processes are in place. So I just want to make sure that everybody is very clear about what the steps are. So that's it for the GDF. We will go back now and talk about the backup documents that you'll include with the GDF. You need to show, so one of your documents shows what exactly it is that you'll be spending your money on. So it could be an invoice or a quote, like these 2 documents. It could also be a screenshot of a shopping cart. Like if you're purchasing something online, or if you're doing an Amazon order, you can do a screenshot of your shopping cart, like illustrated here. And you want to make sure that you're. Yes.
So we don't have to purchase it. We just have to show you what we plan to purchase, right?
You still, depending on what, I'll go over that in a second. Yeah, if I don't answer your question, Frank, can you ask it again? But I'm pretty sure I'll be going over that in a second. So if you're purchasing, like I said, something online or on Amazon, you want a screenshot of your cart, and you want to make sure that the quantity of the items, tax, and shipping are also included in that screenshot. And so, your quote should say quote somewhere on it. And your invoice should also say invoice somewhere on it. So just to be really clear on what those things are. And then you all should have received an award letter from Changemaker by now. Not each of you individually, the team leads, I'm pretty sure, for each project should have received the award letter. And so what you must do is sign the award letter, and it also has to be attached to the GDF. That's one of the 3 documents. So your backup document, so whether that's a quote or an invoice or a screenshot of your cart, as well as your signed award letter, needs to be attached to the GDF. And then finally, your budget is the 3rd document that needs to be attached to the GDF. You should attach it. It should be in PDF format. The GDF doesn't do well with like Excel sheets, for example. So if you're doing your budget in an Excel, you can, convert that file into a PDF. You should show your entire award amount. So, if you were awarded $2,500, your total down here should be $2,500. And it should be an itemized list of everything that you would like to purchase. I know this example shows exchange rate, but you won't be doing the exchange rate. Again, our business team will, so don't really worry about that. We really just want each of your items to be listed and how much each item is, as well as a total of all your items to make it really clear what it is you're purchasing and to make sure that you're at or under budget of what you are awarded. So that's the GDF. Those are your backup documents. Before I go on, which I think, Frank, this is the section I'll be answering your question. Are there any questions on the previous things, on the paperwork, basically, that I was telling you all about?
I do have one question about the budget. So when we make like specific purchases, do we show the budget for that like purchase alone, or do we show the budget for the entire project for certain things that we haven't even purchased yet at the time, but we're purchasing one thing and we're showing an entire budget of like the other things we'll be purchasing, later on, and just showing that full plan to show that this purchase is a part of that budget plan?
Yeah, we want to see your entire budget, even if you do the GDF like 2 or 3 times. We want to see the entire budget every time you do it. And then we can see, based on what you're purchasing, where that fits into your budget.
Okay.
Are there other questions about backup documents or the GDF?
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead. So let's say the Changemaker grant or whatever we applied for, this funding is only a part of the funding that we're using. Should we show the whole budget for the whole operation, basically, even if it's funded from somewhere else, or just what's we're using for this grant?
That's a good question. We really are just interested in what you're using the grant for. So you don't have to include your entire budget, just what you're using your funds for, your Changemaker funds for.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Sure, Caitlin.
Hi, sorry, I lost my voice. My question is so our project, we're doing like Amazon purchases. We have linked all of the items that we intend to purchase in our original budget. Can those items change like to a different brand, for example? Will it be declined if the purchase changes from the original budget?
No, we're not that strict. We understand that projects change over time. Our biggest thing is that you're staying within your budget, or within the amount of funds that you're awarded. So if you're awarded $1,500, we don't want you spending $1,600. But it's okay if it changes over time, and our business team does a really good job of keeping track of everybody's funds. And if it does change, then I would just update your budget to reflect that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me see, there's something in the chat. Verdant hasn't received their award letter. Good to know, Grace. I'm pretty certain we sent it, but I will resend it to you after this. Can you email me so I remember, because I might not remember after this. Just email me and say that you need your award letter. Okay, thank you. Good. Cool. Anything else before I talk about how you can use your funds? Great. Okay, so you basically have 3 options, and it might seem annoying that you have so many options, but it's because, again, ASU is pretty bureaucratic, and some rules, like the purchasing card, has different rules than Amazon ordering, and Amazon ordering has different rules than reimbursement. And so by offering you 3 different options, we really are trying to be flexible with your needs, because we understand, y'all are doing some very different projects. Some of you have like ventures and startups, and some of you are service projects that are, partnering with nonprofits. So y'all are doing very different things. And so your needs are pretty different. And so we're doing this to be flexible, not to be like complicated, even though it might seem a little complicated. So you have, the purchasing card, which is again, Changemaker's debit card. You can do an Amazon order, or you can do a reimbursement. And then we'll get into details for each one of these funding options. So for the purchasing card, or the P card as I'll refer to it from here on out, the process for it is, number one, complete your GDF with all the backup documents and other documents attached to it. That will be your first step for all three of these options. Your second step will be to use this link here to reserve the P card. The P card is used by pro staff, so we have to make sure that it's being planned ahead of time for who's using it. We don't want, you know, somebody who needs it or who put in a reservation for it, now they don't have access to it because somebody just kind of showed up to use it. So the reservation system is really important. It's important when you're reserving the P card to show up on time for it and to turn it back in on time, because again, there might be others who need to use it. So just want to let you know about that. So then after you make your reservation, on the day and time that your reservation comes, you pick up the P card, you make your purchases, and you bring the P card back. And if you're making your purchases in person, let's say you're going to Walmart to pick some stuff up to make purchases, you have to bring your physical receipts back to Carlos when you turn in the P card. So you'll be turning in the P card and physical receipts at the same time. Now, if you took the P card to make an online order somewhere and you don't have physical receipts, then you email your receipts to Carlos, and his email is here in the slide. But you'll still have to turn the P card back in when you're finished with it. I have some notes because again, it's ASU and nothing can ever be simple. Your P card has to be used inside the United States. You're not allowed to use it on international websites, and you're not allowed to use it to pay for services rendered by an individual or an LLC. So what that means is if you're contracting somebody to build a website for whatever it is for your project, you can't use the P card to pay them. So that's what that means. Or if you're contracting somebody to build an app for your project, you can't use the P card for that as well. Again, you have to make a reservation, and it's located on the Tempe campus. So if you're an online student and you're not in the Phoenix metro area, it's probably not a very good option for you. Some examples of items and vendors that you can purchase. You can purchase from Walmart and Target, but those have to be in person. We're not allowed to use the P card to order online from those two vendors. I don't really know why. ASU policy. You can also order catering with the P card, bus passes, art supplies, ceramics. These are some examples of what students have used the P card for in the past. These are from previous projects we took this from. And again, just want to reiterate to pick up and return the P card on time. If you're late picking up or dropping off the P card and you don't communicate, you know, we understand things happen, accidents on the interstate, maybe you're late, whatever. But if you don't communicate that, Changemaker has the right to not allow you to take the card in the future. Just want to be clear about that. Okay, so that's the P card. You also have the option for an Amazon order. And step one, again, is complete the GDF. You will then, I kind of actually left out a couple of steps, but I mentioned those. So after you, you need to have your link where your cart is for your Amazon order in the GDF. So I guess really step one for this is to put your cart together. That way you can link your cart to the GDF. So that's really important to make sure that you have your cart ready to go and that link is there. So that way Carlos doesn't have to track you down and ask you for that link. And then Carlos will make the order on your behalf. ASU has some sort of contract or licensing agreement, I don't really know what it is, where ASU has to purchase Amazon orders on behalf of staff like myself, as well as any kind of programming we do, which that includes the community action grants. So your order is so once your order is ready, it can go to an ASU campus, but it has to go to an ASU campus. It can go to any of them. So if you're, if you live in Gilbert, it can go to the ASU Polytechnic campus. If you live in Glendale, it can go to West. It can go downtown. But it has to go to an ASU campus. We unfortunately can't send the delivery to your address. So I want to make that very clear as well. So if you are an online student, an online team, not in the Phoenix metro area, this might not be a very good option for you because you have to come and pick it up from campus. Examples of items to purchase, you can use this option for event material supplies, office supplies, computer accessories. You can't purchase computers themselves from Amazon, unfortunately. You can do snacks, medical supplies, hygiene products. These are all examples of things that students have used Amazon order in the past. So just want to make that very clear. If you're able to pick it up in person, personally, I think doing the Amazon order is the easiest of the three options. Less work on your end. You just have to, find what you want and then come and pick it up. And then the final option is reimbursement. So just so you know, this could take up to 6 to 8 weeks. So it's usually faster than that. But I like to tell folks 6 to 8 weeks because there are times when it shows up 6 to 8 weeks later. And again, if you're an ASU employee, even if you're a student employee, you will receive your reimbursement via payroll. So just want you to be aware of that. If you're not an ASU employee, you will receive your reimbursement via check in the mail. So that's why your mailing address on the GDF is very, very important to get correct. So you'll again complete the GDF and you'll submit all of the receipts you have. So for reimbursement, you have to pay for whatever it is up front. And then once you get your receipts or your final invoice, you submit all of that to Carlos via email, or if you have physical receipts, you can give them to him. And his email is here on this slide. So this option, you can use this option if you're purchasing items internationally. So for example, if your project is in Kenya and you're purchasing materials in Kenya, you will need to do reimbursement. If you are paying an individual for services rendered or an LLC, again, we've had students who paid somebody to build their website, paid somebody to build an app. You would use reimbursement for this option. And this is the best option for online students who do not live in the Phoenix metro area. So to make sure that I'm fully answering Frank's question from earlier, if you're using the P card, you are making the purchase yourself. If you're doing an Amazon order, you are not making the purchase yourself. If you're doing reimbursement, you are making the purchase yourself. So that's why I wanted to wait to answer your question, because it's a little bit different depending on each option available to you and which way you go. Yes, some of these payment methods can be combined. So if you want to, pay somebody to build an app and it's like $1,000 and you still have $500 left and you want to purchase items for your event on Amazon, you can do that. You can definitely use mixed methods on some of these purchases. I think Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong, but please do. You don't have to do multiple GDFs for each different option. Or Carlos, do you prefer that they do multiple GDFs?
No, they can use the same one.
Okay, so yeah, you can use the same one as long as all of your information is there. So let's say you're doing 2 different options. Let's say you're doing reimbursement and Amazon cart. Well, you should have a quote or a screenshot or something for your Amazon order. You should also have a quote or a screenshot for your reimbursement. So your backup document should reflect all the different purchases that you're doing, and that will make it really easy for us and streamline it for you if everything's there in one. But if you're missing things, so for example, if you're doing an Amazon order and a P card order, and you submitted your screenshot for your Amazon order, but you didn't submit anything for your P card, you won't be able to check out the P card until you submit your backup documentation for the P card. So you would still need, you know, screenshot of something or a quote or an invoice in order to use the P card. So you should, the backup document, you should have one of for each of your payment options that you're using, your funding options. So if you're doing two, you should have two backup documents, but you only need one budget for all of them and one award letter for all of them. But this one will be multiple if you're doing multiple. Is that clear? Okay. I'm sorry this is so complicated. It's really not once you break it down little by little, and then I'm not just like throwing it at you, but I feel like it can be a lot. Okay, so the funding phases are, the first thing you should do is gather all of the backup documents that you need ahead of time. So it means build out your budget ahead of time, find your screenshots or get your quotes or your invoices ahead of time, and sign your award letter ahead of time. That's really important. If you don't sign the award letter, we won't be able to fund you until we get your signed award letter. Some folks upload it non-signed, and so it has to be signed when it's uploaded. Step number 2 is then complete your GDF with all your backup documents. And then step number 3, if you're doing a P card or Amazon order, would then be to pick up the P card and return it, use it, return it. And then for Amazon, come to campus and pick up your order. So that's kind of the funding phases that we have, like kind of the steps that you'll be doing. And then I have some important dates for you all to understand. All of your purchases and paperwork must be completed by June 30th, 2024. So you have more than 6 months to do it. And that's important because like funding you all is really kind of fiscal. And so if we can't get you all funded by then, it really affects the next fiscal year and who we're allowed to fund. So if for example, you're not able to be finished by June 30th and you want an extension, that could mean that there's less money available for students to apply for fall of 2024, if that makes sense. So this is a pretty hard deadline because we want to make sure that we have funding available for students in the fall as well. And then a last thing to note is we will send you a follow-up survey a couple months after this deadline. So for you all, that's August of 2024, we'll send out a follow-up survey. I'm pretty sure it's just 6 questions. And it's really just to ask you, how did your project go? Like how did it go? What went well? What could have gone better? And how did, the community action grant help you or empower you to do the work that you set out to do. And that's really important for us to understand, because if we see the impact that you all are having and thus the impact that Changemakers having, we could have an argument for our funders to provide more funding so we can have an even larger impact. So it's really important to fill out that survey. Hannah will be very annoying and send out multiple emails if you don't fill it out. So I recommend as soon as you get it, just do it. It shouldn't take very long to do. And then any questions, and it can be questions about the funding process. It can be questions specific to your project. I just want to see like what y'all are thinking.
I have a question.
Sure.
So where does this, I guess I'm saying, where can we start this process? Is there a link that, I think at the beginning you showed the link to get a GDF and then all these backup documents? Is there like a central place to get all the links and all that?
It will be the PowerPoint that I send out.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only link I'm providing to you is the GDF. The other links, like if you need, your Amazon links or whatever, that's up for you to provide.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
I got a little confused when you said that like you can use the same like GDF with like different like backup documents. So like for it, when you mean for like that case, would you like, what does that mean that like for like the items that you describe on the GDF that you're just saying in general of like all the items you need for the project, and then the different types of purchases you're specifying only pops up within the backup documents? Or do you specify different types of purchases within the description of the GDF as well at different times, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think you don't need to specify it in the description of the GDF. We really rely on the backup documents to show the difference, the different things that you're purchasing, or the different methods, I guess, that you're using to purchase. So I don't think you need to specify. But I will say there are times that we might have questions after you fill out a GDF. So I highly recommend to kind of quickly respond to any emails that we have, because that'll make your funding process go a lot quicker. But yeah, you really just need, like, if you're doing two different funding options, if you're, for example, using the P card and the Amazon order, you need a backup document for each one of those. So you need an invoice or a quote or a screenshot for each one of those payment methods, those funding options. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, so technically, like I could write out in general, like, all the types of supplies I need for the project in general within the description. And then when it comes to actual specified purchases of the time, it would just sort of be reliant on the backup documents itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then someone asked, are we submitting all documents to Carlos or just the receipts? All your documents that I've been talking about need to be attached to the GDF. So the only thing you should be emailing to Carlos are your receipts. So everything else should be attached here. So your backup documents go here, your signed award letter goes here, and your budget goes here. So don't email any of these to Carlos, because he will use just this one large document to keep track of all of your funding. Other questions?
Back on the GDF, can you does it have an option to upload multiple documents for the backup documents, or you have to get it all in one PDF?
I think you have to get it all in one PDF, right, Carlos? And if that's hard, if you can't do that, then I think, and Carlos, please correct me if I'm wrong, then you can email, your backup document, your extra backup documents to Carlos. But I think that's how it is now, right, Carlos? You can only attach one file per each of these that we have here.
Yes, that's correct.
But you could combine all of your receipts into one PDF and then attach that one document as your backup.
Yeah, so if you have multiple backup documents, I recommend trying to combine them all into one. I think that's the best course of action to make sure it's all in one place. But if for some reason you absolutely can't do that, like if you're having technical issues or something, you email one of the backup documents to Carlos and just make sure that he knows that this is for the GDF.
I would suggest also to Carlos and to who is it, Hannah, that's running the program?
Yes.
Yeah, I would suggest you send it to the whole team, Hannah, Jared, and Carlos. That way there's accountability if someone misses it.
Mm-hmm. Other questions? Okay, well, I think I gave you all, a long time to ask your questions. But if you think of something after the fact, you're welcome to email Hannah and Jared. And if it's something they can't answer, they will make sure to send it along to Carlos and Tara. And we can make sure that your questions get answered. Carlos, Tara, do you all have anything else that you would like to talk about that I did not cover in this presentation?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Hannah, Jared, are you all good? Do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you covered it all, so it was good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, great. Then I will, like I said, I'll send out a follow-up email with the link to the presentation or PDF of the presentation, a link to the recording. Yeah, and then you all, now that have the orientation, you can start, as soon as you want to start using your funds. But again, I will no longer be your point of contact. So just want to thank you all for being a good group of CAG awardees. Thanks for, working hard and communicating and being here today. I think that's really important. So great. Well, we got done 15 minutes early. Awesome. Well, I hope you all have a good rest of your winter break, and we will talk to you later.
Have a nice holiday break.
May I